Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, today we are going to discuss the most unsettling books I have ever read. Now, when we talk about unsettling, disturbing, graphic, this is definitely a spectrum, okay? Because what is unsettling to me and graphic and disturbing might not be unsettling or graphic or disturbing to you, and it's also on a spectrum. So we have books that just made me feel unsettled, like I had to stop reading it because I just felt so unsettled is really the only word I can think of to describe it. I just felt icky. I just felt like creeped out and like I had to take a break from reading it. And then there's deeply disturbing books or gruesome, graphic, cannot believe they wrote this type of book, someone getting their head chopped off. You know what I mean? It's definitely a spectrum. So I know a couple of these books you're gonna be like, what do you mean that was unsettling or hard to read? It's a spectrum, okay? So just hang with me. I've got 16 books in all, I believe, in total. And yeah, it's definitely a spectrum. And these are not going to be like jaw-dropping, never before heard of indie type of books. These are going to be probably books that you have heard from other people who have talked about their most unsettling books they've ever read, like well-known books. I think there's going to be a couple that you might not be familiar with, so stay tuned. Okay, let's just go through these together. I'm really going to try my hardest not to do spoilers. But yeah, if you're looking for like some obscure titles, this might not be the list for you, but I think you will. I think there's going to be at least one or maybe two that you're not that familiar with. So yeah, you might get a couple of recommendations. And I'm just looking down at my Kindle here. That's where I wrote everything down. So yeah, when I think of like unsettling to me, I can think of the book that made me feel like icky when I was reading it, that I can think of was Gone Girl. Like all of the characters in it were so just like, I just hated all of the characters so much. They were such like awful people doing just like awful things, and they just made you feel like yucky reading it. Like, I don't know how to explain it, you guys. I don't know. There is one book on this list where I have never felt more unsettled reading a book than when I read that book, and I will let you know what that book is. Well, no, that's a lie. There's one book where I'm going to beg you not to even look it up. Like, I didn't even want to put it on this list because I don't even want to talk about it. So that would be that one. But when I'm talking about unsettling, like me, I can still remember reading it in my house, like the room I was reading in it, and having to take a break because it just made me feel so weird. So anyway, let's get started. Wow, okay. Shut up, Rachel. Okay, so the first book that I have is Bones and All by Camille DeAngelis. I'm so sorry if I butchered that name. And this is an older title. There's a movie that was made a year or two ago now with Timothée Chalamet. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember the woman's name that's in it. And I'm so curious, if y'all have seen that movie, how did they show everything? Because in this movie, or in this book, the title is exactly what you think it is. So it's about cannibalism, but not quite in the way that you think it is. It's very heartbreaking too, but it is exactly what you think it is. They're eating the bones and all. But in the book, it's like she's eating bones and all, and then they're picking up like scraps of, clothing and different things. And I'm just like so curious how they depicted it in the book. Do they show them eating people? It's so interesting though, because in the book, like, it's about cannibalism, but it didn't feel like it was about cannibalism. It was just like this disease that, it was almost like a disease that they had. And the book is so much more than that. It's very much like a thriller. It's so heartbreaking. The ending is so heartbreaking. It'll break your heart. I think I only gave this 3 stars. I think I would maybe give it 4 stars. Back when I was reading that, because I read it a few years ago, I wasn't very much into like the horror genre as I am now. So I couldn't accept it for what it was. But yeah, it's I think the writing is really great. I would give it a try for sure. So unsettling because of the subject matter, but I don't, and it goes there for sure. It gets very intense, but I also think the writing was really great. Let's go down to, I'm gonna skip that one for now. Let's talk about American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. I have a whole video about this that I can link down below because it was a book club pick, our November book club pick, I believe. I have a whole video about it if you want to hear me blab about it. Yeah, unsettling because this man is a psycho. He's a psycho, and he fulfills his fantasies, every single one of them, and you get to hear about all of it, and it goes there. It goes there. If you have a trigger warning, it's going to be in this book. So everything is in this book. Yeah, it absolutely goes there. But I will say this book also has a lot of humor. It's very humorous. It's very much a stream of consciousness. So you're either going to really enjoy that style of writing or not. I liked it. I liked being in his brain. It was very kooky, very interesting style of writing. I really enjoyed it, but it is very unsettling. It is very hard to read about what he's doing to his victims, and yeah, it's a hard read for sure. But I won't blab about too much. If you want to read my review on the book and the movie, I will link that down below. So that is American Psycho. Freaking love that. It's so good. The movie's so good too. Like, Patrick Bateman is such a great character, and Christian Bale did such an amazing job playing him. I'm so upset that Austin Butler is going to be, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Let's talk about Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. There is a sequel to this book, and I can't remember if I have it on Kindle or not. I feel like I do. And I can't wait to read it. This book was, wow. I would say this is extreme horror, I guess. This is about a woman who is utterly obsessed with a serial killer who is in prison. And he has killed more than 20 women, brutally killed more than 20 women. And she's obsessed with him. They write letters back and forth. She has met him, like gone to visit him in prison. And he asks her to do something for him, to go to this place in the woods, I can't remember what it's called, to retrieve a key from a chest, okay, and then go give it to the Riverman. Okay, simple enough. Well, her disabled sister decides that she wants to go with her. So that just brought a whole other level of chaos and heartbreak to this story. It is so upsetting what they go through, and then when they get to the Riverman, you don't know if this is actually going to be a man, an entity. Like, it goes in a very different direction than I thought, but it gets, oh, sorry. I don't know what I thought that was. It gets really graphic and disturbing, and also it gets very interesting. The visuals are so amazing. This would make an amazing horror movie, like amazing. The ending is so beyond heartbreaking. I'm very curious how the sequel, or maybe it's a prequel, I actually don't know. I'm very curious what that's like. I loved the writing, absolutely loved the writing, but it's very hard to read at times for sure. The killer in it, the man that's in prison, is just a most disgusting, like, bigoted, racist human being. So it's very hard to read at times. But yeah, one of the most unsettling graphic books for sure. But I did love the writing. I will try and put these books. I do own that one. I think it's in the living room. I do own a lot of these books, but yeah, I will try and put them up here as well. Oh, this one. I think that this one is here somewhere. Oh no, that's a different one. Anyway, Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. Okay, Eric LaRocca writes his writing is very interesting. Their writing, I'm not sure what his pronouns are, I'm sorry. Their pronouns. Their writing is very interesting. I feel like you're either going to like it or not like it. It's very unique. Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke is like a short story on itself, and then it's the one that I read, it was a part of a short story collection. I did like this one the best, I believe. Wow, it's very, very, very unsettling and upsetting. Very graphic. It's about two women who meet on Craigslist because someone is selling an vintage apple peeler and someone wants to purchase it, and then they start talking online and it turns into something totally unexpected, something that you trust and believe you will not expect what is happening. Have you used your eyes today? Is that what the saying was in the book? Oh my God. You will not even you guys, you will not even understand. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. That book, I'm speechless. That book will leave you speechless. Be prepared. That book will leave you speechless. It is so intense. For a short story, it's amazing. I loved that book, but it is very, very unsettling. For something that's just over like emails and like over Craigslist about an apple peeler. Whew. But yeah. Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. Pretty bummed. I read another book by Augustina. I think it was a short stories or novellas or I don't know. And I did not like it at all, which was a bummer. But loved Tender is the Flesh. Tender is the Flesh is about a world where all the animals in the world have been contaminated, basically. Excuse me. I can't remember. I apologize. I can't remember what exactly. They're basically all diseased. So you can no longer eat animals. You can no longer eat meat. So what do we resort to? We can't obviously just be vegetarians as humans. We have to find another source of meat. So we start eating each other. We're cannibals. We start eating humans. So this is about a world where we start basically farming humans. And it's about someone who works in a factory that farms, I don't know how else to say that, farms humans. They grow humans. And it's a lot more than that though. It's so unbelievably heartbreaking, extremely graphic. I loved the ending. I know so many people absolutely hated it. I loved it, absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. It's very graphic. It's cannibalism, so there's that. If you can't handle that, it definitely goes there. It definitely gets graphic. There's also a scene about hunting people, which was really hard to read. It's so disgusting, but it's great commentary on all of that stuff though too. It'll really make you think, and yeah, definitely lots of trigger warnings, but I believe there's like animal stuff too, cruelty. So yeah, I love that one though. I do own that one too, I believe. I don't know where that one is. This one I wasn't unsettled reading it, but I just wanted to put it on there, and it goes with Tender is the Flesh. A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers, which was a book club pick. I believe it was like August's book club pick or September's or something. also has to do with murder and cannibalism. So I just wanted to add that in, but with Tender as the Flesh. If you're into that, if you're into that sort of thing, this one read like a memoir. If you didn't know like what you were reading, kind of, you would think you were reading a real person's memoir. It's about a food critic who happens to be a cannibal. Yeah, food critic, murderer, cannibal. I really enjoyed it. The writing style was a little different. Yeah, I read like almost like a memoir. It was very interesting. Some people might be very unsettled with it. I just wanted to add that in there quick. I don't think it really belongs on this list, but there's that. I am gonna add Nosferatu by Joe Hill. I don't actually ever know if I'm ever gonna get that review video up. You guys, that book is so layered. I don't even know if I can do it justice. But Nosferatu by Joe Hill. So unsettling because it deals with so many trigger warnings. It deals with so many... It's just... It got way more graphic than I thought it was going to. Charlie Manx is such a horrible person, and his sidekick was almost worse. The way that he degraded and treated women and talked about women and what he did to them was so awful. I wasn't expecting that at all, and it really was shocking to read. And I have a really hard time reading about that kind of stuff, like sexual assault and that kind of stuff is hard for anyone to read. But I don't know, I don't like reading about that kind of stuff, but it comes up in a lot of the books that I read, unfortunately. But I don't know, it was so graphic. And then you add in like children into the mix and like having your children taken away from you. I don't know, I don't like that. So that to me was unsettling. And then basically sucking the life out of children to make yourself stay youthful. That was so hard to read. Like that part was so creepy and unsettling to me. The way these kids were like deteriorating. Oh my gosh. I said I wasn't gonna give spoilers. Is this too spoilery? I don't think so. I think we're okay. So yeah, I think that book belongs on this list. I don't actually think it's like the most unsettling, but I think it belongs in this list. This is 16 books, so it's like at the bottom of the list, okay? This one is also at the bottom of the list, but has some of, if not the best body horror I have read in a long time. The body horror in this book, it needs to be studied. It is so good. It made me feel so disgusting. I need to see this as a movie to see how they would do it. But if you don't know, body horror is like some of my favorite things to read. It's like it's like my favorite thing to read. I absolutely love it. And I'm talking about Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig. Oh, it's so good. I have his new book to read on NetGalley, The Stairs in the Woods, or The Staircase in the... I'll put it up here. I can't remember. The Staircase in the Woods? I think that might be it. And I'm really excited to dive into that. His books are long, though. And this book was long. It was really long, but it's so worth it. So good. I do think some people will complain about the length of it. I think that you needed all of that. But anyway, this is about apples that make people crazy, basically. And what happens to them... Oh my gosh, you guys, the body horror was so good. The descriptions and what happens to these people is so disgusting, but the descriptions were so great. And it's also so sad what happens to these people. Like, that part always gets me. I have like such a hard time. You can ask anyone in my life too. It's a big reason why I can't watch a lot of these type of horror movies is people turning into things. Like, I don't like that. It makes me so sad when people turn into like werewolves or vampires or something. I just get so sad for them. Like when they don't want to be. Like that just makes me so sad. And these people, this might be a spoiler, turn into trees, which I know sounds can sound so cheesy and so stupid. No, it is so horrific and disgusting and awful. The way that it's described in the book, it is not cheesy or dumb. He did it in the most graphic, horrific way. It was done so well, so perfectly. Go read this book. I don't think it gets enough love. The body horror is fantastic. You do have to wait a bit to get to the body horror, but it's also still a good like thriller. It's the story is really good. So I think it's worth it. It's worth the ride. The ending's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, this one I know I'm gonna get crap for sure, because some people think this book is so stupid, and I will admit the last half of the book is kind of trash. But the beginning of the book plays on something that is one of my biggest like phobias. I don't really know how to explain it. It's almost like what's that phobia of like sirens and stuff like that? But mine's a little bit different. So the book is Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. But in the first part of the book, oh, it gives me creeps thinking about it. There's voices that that this person is hearing outside, and it's like his mom talking. Obviously his mom's not there, which this sounds so stupid when I'm saying it, but that is like, I don't know how to explain it, you guys. That's one of my that's a fear. This sounds stupid. I don't know how to explain this. Like, I don't know. I'm not even gonna say anything. The like voices and like recordings, like that kind of stuff freaks me out. I don't know. You guys, I do not know how to explain this, and I'm explaining it very badly. But the beginning of Stolen Tongues freaks me out, and I do think it lost its way at the ending for sure. It's not as scary. I don't think it's a scary book, but the beginning really played on my fears, like my personal fears. I have the book somewhere. I don't know where it is. And it really, really creeped me out. So I know that it wasn't scary to most people and to a lot of people, but it played on my personal fears, and the hearing the voices or like recording, that stuff creeps me out. So I know people are not going to agree with me on that one, and I just did not explain myself well at all right now, but I can't explain it, you guys. Like even like answering machines, voice message, like stuff like that creeps me out, and I don't know how else to explain that, so I'm gonna stop. Okay, Whale Fall by Daniel Kraus is my next one. This was unsettling because this man finds himself in the ocean. So this is also a very heartbreaking book. It's about a man who loses his father, and he's trying to like reconnect with his father. So it's very sad, but he gets trapped inside of a whale. So new fear unlocked right there. I don't think I have to say much more than that. That's unsettling. Like I said, new fear unlocked. It's not like, I don't think it was like scary, or it's very much like edge of your seat, like claustrophobic type of situation. Yeah. It's a good book though, and very heartbreaking, very sad, like emotional. Way more emotional than I thought it was going to be. It's a good one. Keeping on the same kind of note there, The Deep by Nick Cutter also takes place in the ocean. Are they on the bottom of the ocean? I can't remember now. They might be doing like experiments, and it just gets kooky wacky. Trigger warnings for animal stuff if you can't handle animal stuff. His writing is very unique. So many unsettling things happen in that book. I can still remember one specific scene from that book that I can still think of it right now. It was just, very graphic. Just really, really off the wall stuff. And the ending, I didn't like the ending. It was very up in the air, very, okay. I didn't like the ending at all. But I haven't read The Troop yet, which I hear is absolutely disgusting and good body horror. So I really want to read The Troop. But yeah, The Deep again, very claustrophobic, very just such an unsettling setting, being in the ocean. Like the ocean is so creepy just on its own. And Nick Hutter, very interesting writing style. I really enjoyed it. I think some people will not enjoy the writing style. Definitely won't enjoy the. I didn't like the ending, but there's still specific scenes that were so graphic and so, oh, they're like burned in my brain. But yeah, I liked that one. Ooh, one that I think some of y'all might not have read that you should is In the Tall Grass by Stephen King and Joe Hill. This is a short story. It's so good. It's so good. Again, this plays on my fear of voices. This is literally two people who pull over because they hear a child. Okay, first of all, creepy child. A child's voice in the tall grass asking for help. Like, please help me, help. And they get disoriented in the tall grass. And it does kind of go off. It does go off on a weird... It went somewhere weird that I was not expecting. But that's Stephen King for you and Joe Hill. But so creepy and unsettling. Definitely a heartbreaking ending. Like again, played on my fears with the voices, and yeah, it's so creepy. I would not have gotten out of my car. I'm just gonna say that. That kid can fend for himself. I wouldn't have done that. But yeah, it's a short story. Like, it's super quick to get through. Check that one out, In the Tall Grass. I really enjoyed it. Okay, the ones that I have left are like it. So this is the book that when I think of unsettling for me, this is the book I think of, except for the other one I'm going to talk about. I'm thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. I know I'm going to get some stuff about this book because people hate this book and this movie. I've never watched the movie because I just don't think that it would translate well. But I do think the actors were good choices. I love this book so much. I think it's one of my favorite books ever written. Like top 5. A book has never made me feel the way that this book has made me feel. I absolutely still remember reading it, like where I was reading it. And like, I remember telling my now ex, like, I have to take a break reading this because it is making me feel so strange and like so creeped out is not the word. Unsettled is the word. It makes you feel like disoriented. It makes you feel so weird because you're not really sure what's going on. And there's so many reviews that are just like, what did I just read? Like, or I need someone to explain the whole plot to me, or I'm so confused, or blah, blah, blah. I'm not confused. I know what the book was about. I understood it fully. Go read up on it if you've read it and you don't understand it. I think it's so brilliant. Some people absolutely hated the ending and like hated like twists or whatever. Like, I get it, but I thought it was so clever. I will never ever forget the scene where they stop at the ice cream shop and the girl is like, whatever the girl says to her, like that whole scene lives in my head rent free forever. Oh my God, I get chills when I think about it. I don't know. That book just does something to me. I think Ian Reid is so amazing. I need to read more of his backlist because like I just hear nothing but great things about his books. So yeah, so I think he's so brilliant. I love this book so much. It was, yeah, like one of my first unsettling, made you really think outside the box. I still think of that ice cream scene. I love also that they were like in a blizzard and a snowstorm, stopping at like a roadside ice cream stand, getting like milkshakes or whatever. Oh, I don't know. The whole thing was just so brilliant. I loved it so much. I love it. It's so creepy. It's so good. Okay. Then we have Schroeder by Neil Cassidy, which I just made a whole video about this. I can link that down below too. It's like 2 videos before this one, or 3 videos before this one. This was literally every single trigger warning you can think of. This book has, so please take that into consideration. Really, really heartbreaking. This book made me almost throw up and then made me cry like the hardest I've ever cried reading a book before. So it has all of the things. It's very heartbreaking. Lots of trauma, about trauma, revenge. It's extremely upsetting to read, and graphic and gruesome and horrific, but also like will break your heart into a million pieces. And yeah, I think a brilliant read. Very much like American Psycho, stream of consciousness throughout the book type of writing. You're very much in his head the whole time. And then at the end, it's diary entries that will break your heart. So yeah, I have a whole video about it. If you would like to go watch that, I will link that down below as well. This one, I don't think a lot of people have read. It's newer. It just came out in October, I think I want to say. Schroeder by Neil Cassidy. Go check that one out, please, if you can handle, you know, like extreme horror, graphic stuff. I 100% recommend. This book that I do not recommend, do not seek this out. I'm like literally begging you. No One Rides for Free by Judith Sonnet. If you've read anything by Judith Sonnet, you know. I heard that there's a sequel out for this book. Please, God, no. This book has so many warnings in the book. Maybe I can show you. It literally says, like, you've been warned, you've been warned. And I think even in the middle of you reading it, it says you are being warned that this is getting bad. Like, and I still read the dang book. And I'm not exaggerating. I wish I never would have read this book. I'm keeping it because I feel bad throwing a book away. And 2, I don't want to donate it because I don't want anyone else to ever read this book. And I'm being so serious when I say that. This is the most graphic, horrific book I've ever read in my entire life. I don't have trigger warnings, except when I read this book, I realized I do. There was... I don't know how to say this on YouTube without getting like banned. It's about a mom who's driving her kids. Wow, what? A mom who's driving her kids back to college. She runs into the gas station, comes out, and there is the most disgusting, vile man in the back seat, basically holding them to gunpoint. And he makes them and then other folks that they meet along the way do some of the most inhumane, disgusting things I've ever... Yeah. You know, there's some books that, like, American Psycho has really disgusting things in it that I'm just like, who thinks of that? Like, what are you doing? Why did you write that? But it's like, it went there, but it went a little too far, but like, okay, I get it. This book, I don't think had to be made. I don't ever think those thoughts should have ever went down on paper and went out into the world. I'm sorry. I think it's absolutely horrific. Yeah, let's just say that incestual things happened and it was so beyond horrific. And yeah, I'll never forget that book. I'd like to forget it. I truly wish I had never read it. And I probably will end up throwing it away because I just don't ever want it. I hate looking at the cover. It's a really short book. I read it in like an hour, but yeah, I wish I never would have read it. And I literally don't look it up. Don't read it. Don't do it. There's so many warnings in it, warning you not to read it. Like, she does not want you to read this dang book. And I still read it. Judith. I've heard some of her other books aren't quite as awful, but I won't read any more of her books. I'm sorry. I can't. I don't understand why you'd want to read. I'm kind of wondering if Aaron Beauregard's books are as bad as those. Are they as, if you've read them, are they as bad as Judith Sonnet's No One Rides for Free? Because I love Aaron Beauregard's covers. They're so disgusting and awful. But are they as bad as that one? Because I would like to try some of his books, like The Slob and Playground and stuff. I'm interested in reading those. But let me know, because if they're like that, I know because I can handle a lot of stuff, but that was too much. That was a little bit too much. Okay, so there we go. 16 books in all. I think I got them all. Let me know. Oh wait, I have one more. This is like a bottom, not really unsettling. I just kind of wanted to talk about it. Mayfly by CJ Lead. One of my favorite books of 2023. I think I read it. Or was it last year? No, I can't remember. She's just amazing. I have her new one, American Rapture, that I still have not read. I cannot believe I still haven't read it yet. Oh my god. It was like it came out in like August and I still haven't read it yet. And she just announced she's writing a new book. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I love her so much. Mayfly is like kind of like the female Patrick Bateman. The ending broke my heart though. But yeah, it's very graphic. It's very, very graphic. She do be killing people. And yeah, but it's wonderful. Definitely extreme horror, splatterpunk, I guess. Maybe you could, I don't know, would you call Mayfly splatterpunk? I'm not sure, but she's pretty cool. She's a cool character, very different. Takes place in LA. She's very obsessed with Halloween. She's a very cool character. And yeah, she's like a Patrick Bateman type. I think she talks a lot about American Psycho as well. And like she plays Halloween music all the time. She's a cool character. But yeah, I love Mayfly. Yeah, one of my favorite books. I just wanted to, I didn't think it was like scary or, oh, there was I'm now remembering that she also works at, they can't say it in the book, but like she works at like Disneyland. Yeah, Disneyland, and she's Elsa, I think. So that plays a part in it. And yeah, there's something very disgusting that she does with the Mickey Mouse ears or something. Yeah, now I'm remembering it. There is some really disgusting parts in that. I don't think it's the most unsettling, but yeah, there's definitely some really disgusting parts in that book. It's still so good though. So check out Mayfly by CJ Lead and follow her on like Instagram and stuff because she's awesome. Oh my god, my phone almost fell. Okay, so that is everything. 16 books of the most unsettling books that I have ever read. Have you guys read these? I'm sure you've read a lot of these. Like I said, these are not like some obscure titles, but maybe there's a couple that you haven't heard of or you haven't read yet. I would love to get your thoughts down below on if you thought these were unsettling yourself, or maybe you just like, Rachel, what are you talking about? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you are not already, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.